episode 45. We back. How y'all doing? We in the building, episode 45, Act 2 the podcast. And she gets on my fucking nerves. Jesus Christ.
I didn't even do anything.
Like, on my fucking nerves. International Walk in the house.
And your girl Tosh, the co-hostess with the mostest. He got beef with me. I didn't even do anything.
Okay, cool. Act 2 the podcast, episode 45. You can always check us out at act2thepodcast.com. And we also are on YouTube, Breaker, Google Podcasts, and Anchor. So check us the fuck out.
You missed one.
What I miss?
Spotify.
Forgot. Also Spotify. That's probably...
See, I got your back.
Yeah.
I got your back.
I know. Why don't you show up on time? Why we do that? You don't want to go there. Again, Act 2 the podcast, episode 45. We are back, people. Did I identify us?
We did identify ourselves. You identified you. I identified me. We're here.
We told them where they can get the shit.
6, yeah.
What was the shit?
act2thepodcast.com, YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts.
Check us out, people. We up on there.
Yes. How are you today?
I was good up until about 5 minutes ago. Now I'm kind of thrown off, to be honest with you.
Okay.
My kilter's kind of thrown off. Yeah, I want to be thrown off.
Throw the cards.
This is, you know, I got my baby here, right? But this is my show. And I would like for her to show the fuck up on time. And she couldn't do that. So it's last week, I got to wait for her to fucking dilly-dally in the shower. She got to fuck with her hair. She got to do all this shit, spray perfume on. But then she says, oh, it makes me feel good. So me, you know, I don't want to stop making you feel good. But Jesus Christ, one day a week, this falls under them categories of the things that I ask you to do that you don't do. Can you just be ready for the show on Wednesday? Nobody said you got to take a shower at early in the morning, afternoon, but maybe just like when you clocked out from work, you could have jumped in there and took a 7-minute shower before you came downstairs. That would have been great. Whew, Lord.
You feel better? Got that off your chest?
I did. I feel a lot better.
You look 5 pounds lighter.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm fresh and clean. I smell good.
See?
I look at this as, this is a job. Like, I show up for work for him, and just like when y'all go to work, don't you want to, it makes you feel better. No, I work from home at my corporate job, and, you know, sometimes I wake up 15, 20 minutes before I'm supposed to log on, brush my teeth, wash my face, and I get to work. I do my job. But there's some mornings where it's like, and I might get up like 45 minutes before I'm supposed to start, jump in the shower, brush my hair, put some earrings on, maybe throw some tights in a t-shirt or a little sweatsuit on to go nowhere, to still sit at my desk. But I feel so much better on those mornings.
To do that for your second job. Show up for that.
So,
prep for the second job.
For this job, I like to do the same. I don't care that, you know, I've been in the house all day or wherever we are now, I'm in the studio. I like to show up fresh because it makes me feel good. But I'll do a better, allow me to finish.
So you can
I'll do a better job to be more timely, although we were earlier today than normally, but it wasn't good enough, so I'll do better.
It's not about that it's good enough. She thinks it's good enough because it's got to be 0 to 10 for her. It's not in the middle. It's not about the time. It's about just being ready one out of the 5 days.
So when you say be ready, does it mean at the same, when you're ready to go, then you don't want to wait? No,
once I'm ready to go, I have energy to go. I'm ready to go. Sitting around waiting on you is like sitting around waiting on you to go somewhere. Energy drops, you drain, you just sitting there like, when the fuck is she going to be ready?
And how long did you wait today? 5 minutes?
No, probably 10 minutes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Because you was downstairs taking a shit. Then you had to come upstairs, get in the shower. Then you dilly-dallying in the door looking at me grinning. Like, get your naked ass in the shower.
I offered him sex before this episode, and he said no. I think if we would have had sex, his mood would be a little bit lighter. But listen, I'm sorry. I made a mistake.
You ain't Ving Rhames. I don't want to hear that shit. Don't give me that baby boy shit.
It won't happen again. I love you.
She tried to make it sound like I tell her no, and I don't tell her no. This is a boxing match. I'm coming to the arena. It's like asking a boxer, do you want to have sex before you come to the ring? No, I want to have good energy. I don't want to be sitting here like
that
this.
Would have been great energy.
Or just tell no for you, but everything ain't about you. So we sitting here, and I'm sitting here like, you know what, y'all, this is what y'all get this week because we just fucked before the show.
I would have drained you.
I ain't got nothing, y'all. That's what it would have been like. But back to the show. How are you?
I'm good.
No. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good this week. I feel good. My mental's at a 9. Just have a maintaining an optimistic attitude. I think I said this last week, but I'm gonna say it again and I'll probably say it again in the future. Your thoughts become your actions. Well, I'm sorry, your thoughts become your feelings become your actions. And I'm thinking positive so I can feel good.
Mentals of what? I'm
an
sorry.
8.
An 8. Okay.
And
Ocho.
so that can exude
Ocho.
goodness from me. So I'm an 8. I feel good.
Okay. Work.
Work is an 8. It's busy. They make me earn my money.
That lady played you yesterday, called you a nut ass bitch, and you ain't do nothing.
Now, why would you tell that lie? That was the stupidest lie ever.
Work is what?
Work is an 8, but I learned my lesson. I needed
Ocho.
some information, and I waited to the last minute to ask for it, and she waited to the last minute to send it to me. Duly noted. I know. But you know what? Sometimes I feel like I work better under pressure, but I have to stop that because, especially when I have to rely on other people, because they may feel like they work better under pressure too. So if I'm pushing it to the deadline and then they pushing it to the deadline, that could push me past my deadline. So I got to do better.
That's problematic.
Lesson learned. My money is at a 9. I won't complain.
Nueve?
I don't need nothing. I don't even really want nothing. I'm good. I feel good.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. How about you? How are you?
My mental is at an 8.
Okay.
I'm Ocho too. I felt sharper last week than I did this week, but that's just life. But I'm still at an 8.
Okay.
Work is at a 9. That's wrapping up. That's good. That's great. Situation I told you today. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how that's gonna pan out. Where did we get that straight? Mm-hmm. Finances is, I had this thought that I've been watching. I watch a lot of podcasts and watching the Earn Your Leisure podcast, and sometimes finances is 8. Let me just say that. Okay. But
so you're 8, 8, 8.
Ocho.
Okay, 8 across the board.
But sometimes we get in and I'll continue to be this way, protective of my money. But it is true that when money comes in one hand, you should let it go out the other, and more money will come behind that. And when you don't and you covet money, you get stagnant. So, there's some Christmas coming up and your birthday coming up, and I know we want to go somewhere, and whether we go somewhere on Christmas or your birthday, it's still money spent. But just having that mindset of having to move some money around and not seeing numbers that I like, but it is what it is. And, thank God that I'm still able to continue to work and earn money. You are, and we'll be all right.
I know we will. I trust you, and you've made promises to me, and you've never broke a promise. And it is what it is. I just felt like this was about to be like a Oprah moment, like you get a car, like, just to let you know I'm, did some things and we're going away.
No.
Wah, wah, wah. No. But no, I'm happy that, we had a conversation and, we're always transparent. And sometimes I can be a little bit of a spoiled brat when it's something that I really want. And, we never have been able, we've traveled up and down the East Coast. And we have endless,
been to all the states except far north.
On the East Coast. Yeah. And we've traveled, road trips year after year after year. None of we have the ability to travel anywhere in the world that we want. That's always been a dream of mine. For us together to see everything. Like, I want to go everywhere with my best friend. And sometimes it's like, babe, let's go here. I'm a very spontaneous person. Like, I like to plan some things. But even when we go on trips, it ain't no itinerary. It ain't no agenda. One of the bad things that we do is sometimes we book trips like at the last minute, which I don't want to do for my birthday. I want to be a little more proactive, but nevertheless, I'm very spontaneous. So if he was like, babe, tomorrow let's get up, call out of work, and we're gonna fly down to Mexico for a couple days, I'm gonna find a way to be there. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do about work, but I'm all right with that. And I know that him being the protector and the provider that he has to be more strategic, so we have to kind of balance each other. But I relinquished to him as the head of our household, and I know that he wants to do things too. So all of that to say, I'm happy that you're finding your comfort zone in that arena, and I'm following your lead, Daddy.
Yeah. I'm still gonna, be cautious of our paper and always look out for it, but just keep in mind that, when money comes in one hand, you go out, it's got as much power as you give it. And yeah, although it creates a sense of security, and I ain't gonna go broke. And that's one thing that all this traveling does, is it costs. It ain't free, but we'll be all right. We'll get where we gotta go. We're gonna go to all the places on the goddamn map.
Looking forward to it. What's your wows and woes this week?
My wows this week was, what happened this week?
You woke up to me every day.
Something happened this week. Other than that, something happened.
You got your hair did.
I don't know. Maybe that was the woe of my week.
The woe?
I mean, the wow of my week.
Getting your hair done?
Yeah, it was really itchy and fucked up. Yeah, I can't remember. I had a wow. It's gonna come back to me, people.
What was your woe?
My woe, I had no woes. I had nothing bad happen this week. I didn't feel down about nothing this week. Yeah, I'm feeling real good about being on this healing journey and picking me, and I'm good.
That's good to hear.
So what's your wows and woes?
My wow, I spent some good quality time with people that I love, including you, including one of my good friends, and it's a couple different caveats to that. One, I was happy because she missed me and she planned a date, and I was always a person in my life who always was in control and planning and coordinating dates and events and all that stuff, and I pushed back from that because I'm open to it, but now I just feel like I want that same energy to be returned to me, so I let it be out there to my friends, like, hey, like, plan a date, let's get together. And not everybody does that, and that's okay. I know everybody has their life. There's no shade, it's okay. But I just don't really plan dates like that because it takes a lot of energy, and I just don't be feeling like it. So I was happy that she planned the date, happy that we got a chance to spend some time together. But while we were talking, always have great conversation. Shout out to Misty. A couple of times during our conversation, she referenced the podcast. Like, I remember y'all was talking about such on the show, and I caught an episode and y'all was talking about
Shout
this.
out to Misty. Thanks
and it made
listening.
me feel really good because, one, I have never asked anyone directly, like, hey, can you watch the podcast? Hey, can you repost? Can you do? I just don't want to. And for those that have done it at their own volition, I appreciate it. So hearing her just bring it up in conversation felt really good. And then it was like, to me, that affirmation, like, A2TP podcast is going to be an international, name in households in a few years, maybe not even a few years, but it's going to be big. It's going to be big. I have all the faith in the world in God and in my baby, and it just made me feel good. So shout out to Misty. Real funny story about Misty. One day I was with my sisters and she was calling me and it showed up Misty. Anybody knows my sister Erica, she don't play when it comes to him. So she looking at my phone like, who is that calling you? I'm like, oh, that's Misty. She's like, Misty? Whose name is Misty? I'm like, that's one of my friends, Misty. She's like, that sounds like something made up. Whose name is Misty? I'm like, that's really a person. Her name is Misty. She's like, I thought you was doing something shady. Like, nobody named Misty calling your phone. Like, I don't play them games,
She thinks she's going to run back and tell me.
I don't think she would have told you. She would have checked me. Like, I don't know what's going on, but...
And if you would have been 100%, she would have been 100%. She'd have been like, yeah, this shit ain't right, but okay. She
wouldn't know. She would have let it be known. She would not have told you, but she would have let it be known, like, I don't approve, I don't like it, I don't support it. I'm not messing with you on that tip. So yeah, so that's about me. So that was my wow. My woe, I had to check myself because I allowed a situation to really disrupt my healing journey temporarily. And I read something that said, moving forward, my reaction to negativity will be, I hope you heal. And I hope that I am able to maintain that mentality.
You
I,
think you wouldn't be able to?
I don't know, because
You
I
ain't
don't
got
like
that
for
type of
nobody to
willpower?
pop off at me and think they can say whatever they want. Like, it'd be like, who you talking to? Like, I be feeling like I gotta say something back, but I don't want. I don't want to. You posted something there that says, "Don't return shit energy." Like, maintain who I am. So I don't want to allow anyone to take me to that place of anger and rage and be like, oh, like,
But they can't though. It's all on how you respond.
yeah. So
Only
that's
you
why I
can
want to
take yourself
control
there.
myself. Yeah, I
So
wanted
change
to.
that verbiage to you can control.
I don't want to
that.
allow myself to go to that
Yeah.
place of anger and rage because of someone else's action. So that was my woe, that I did allow myself, and you saw it because you were trying to talk to me, and I was just like staring through you, like, I don't care what you say, but I do care, but I don't. But nevertheless, that was my woe. But it was
You don't have that discipline in you yet to like shut off your anger. Like it has to come out. And I get that about people. Like everybody can't just like I know myself, and I know if I allow myself to get so angry, shit get physical. So I can't go so far with anger, and you have to realize that.
Yeah. But I don't regret it. It was a learning experience. I am starting to just remind myself everything happens for a reason. You look at some situations or some scenarios in your life like, oh, why was this person like this or like this or like that? And then you think, because they were like this, I am like this. Like, it made me be a different person. So, not saying I'm happy, that some things happen the way that they are, but they had to in order for me to be who I am and where I am, and I'm grateful for that.
Yes, yes. Grateful about the journey. Sometimes shit don't go as society says it should go, or even how you might feel it should go or be. And it's nothing wrong. That's my new mantra. I'm never going to regret picking me. So pick you. Yeah.
And something that I don't want to say I learned, but I thought about this. It just like came to me yesterday, and it's nothing new, but just the thought of it was kind of just like a aha moment. But again, nothing new, so I'm not acting like, oh, I'm all this prophetic person. But sometimes people in your life, and I sent this to my sisters too, some people in your life cannot be there for you in your moments of strength, because in those moments they feel insecure, they feel inferior, and they feel intimidated. They only know how to show up for you when you're fragile, when you're weak, when you're broken down, because, oh, I can be the strong person, I can put on this facade of superiority, I can be the savior. And so that's what makes them feel stronger when they're weak.
And need it.
Right. And so you have to know that about people and act accordingly. I also read something that said, feel how you acknowledge your feelings, but act on what you know. So you can feel how you feel and let it sink in.
We learned that in therapy too.
But act according to what you know about people, places, and things. So don't act in a certain way because you want something to be something different, or you think something to be different. Act on what you know. So this healing
know
journey
your audience.
is very introspective, and I'm enjoying it. Hurts, but I'm enjoying it. I'm gonna be Zentosh from now on.
Yeah, we'll see. I want to have a conversation about I'm gonna make a broad statement, and I'm gonna try to word it in a way where I'm not generalizing, but still broad. Why is it that there is a majority of black people that don't trust black people? So talk about that, whether it be money, business, investments, anything with black, trying to keep it black. It's not always smooth.
So I think it's
and not always trusting. And is it the way society has deemed us, like, not to be uh, trusting with each other because we're more powerful to, together, or is it just, you know, the way that we live and the conditions we have grown up in the neighborhoods we grown up in? It's just not something that is an attribute of ours, a trusting attribute.
No, I think you're giving too much credit to current times. I think we have to look back at the historical context of when was black people first taught not to trust other black people.
Slaves.
But in what context?
Like house nigga and outside nigga.
That's what most people would refer to. But let's also remember this: while yes, white people, colonialists, the people that stole America and then, you know, killed, you know, the Native Americans and all that, yes, they were responsible for slaves and, you know, like he said, referred to the black people who were put in position, even though it was kind of from a comedic standpoint, like Samuel L. Jackson's role in Django.
That's truth, though.
Yeah,
But
right, it was truth to it. So it was, you know, you had
he was considered the house nigga, the one that was in the house with the heat, and not picking
but it was
cotton.
other house niggas that were working in the house, but he was like the head, where the white people put him in position to, you know, be kind of the overseer, even though they would have, you know, beat him too, but be the overseer of his own people. But people fail to realize, and some people don't like to face this truth, Africans were sold into slavery by other Africans. So it's not just once we reached this strange land, it also started. Now there was, you know, there has been conversations that the kings and queens of Africa didn't quite know what they were selling their brothers and sisters into. But there's also, you know, they were taken in chains, and I don't want to misspeak, but I think in Ghana they have like where the cells were before they set sail. So there was some knowledge that they were selling these people for their own profit into slavery. So here you have black people selling black people to the white people to be mistreated for their own gain. So that generational mistrust is inbred in us.
I know, but that's even you speaking from something that's you know, over 500 years ago to the current day, and it's like I get what you're saying through the systematic culture. Is that what you're saying? Like it's systematic, but it's in the culture of black people not to trust because of the first black people were sold.
Yeah, but let's not forget,
because
slavery started 500 years ago, but slavery only ended 150 years ago.
I understand that.
So that same mentality bred generation after generation after generation 150 years ago was Nana's mom.
So because black people have not been taught financial literacy and have not been business acumen as quickly as the white folks was back in the day, and them burning down Wall Street when black people did like have something and was gaining something, like, do you think that it's a thing where black people don't do business well? Like, no, I'm sorry, not all black people do business well.
No, I think there's a thing where not all people do business well. You have white people, and listen.
Hold on for a second, though. But I'm not talking about white people. I'm specifically talking about black people. Like, I don't want to talk about white people. I hear what you're saying,
but I'm saying to you, no, I don't think that that's a thing per se, because I think just like you have, of course, some black people. So if you're, let's just say if you're an accountant or if you're an attorney, you had to have the education in order to do so. It doesn't mean you're going to be the best accountant,
right?
But you're still an accountant. It doesn't mean you're going to be the best attorney. You're still an attorney.
Or you might not have had the best education. So it's like being so far behind the 8 ball, black people in general, compared to like black people being in these spaces of to be an accountant, to be a banker, or to be a hedge fund guy or some shit like that. Like, we're so far behind in that. So when we do get to that point, it's not like we went to the best schools or have the best education. Not everybody. And so because you're so far behind, I'm just asking, I'm not saying there is, but is there a because we haven't been doing it as long, a defect there? Because like you hear some people talk and they say, oh, I want to keep it black, I want to do business with black people, and that's all great, I'm for that. But a lot of people do also say it's always tough with black people. They haggle with prices, or shit ain't right, or it should be late. And I'm not saying that that's not the case with other races. I'm specifically talking about black people. I'm not trying to down black people. So just open your mind a little bit.
I
not
hear
have
what you're
this
saying,
narrow mind of
but no,
like I want to take up for the blacks.
Well,
I'm
no,
not trying
because
to down the
I am,
blacks.
because I don't agree with that. So I hear what you're saying, but I think, yes, that is the stereotype that people have, and I think it's false.
Okay.
I think it's inaccurate. I think it's false. I actually think that we as black people are better at everything that we do if given the opportunity, and that I'll stand on.
Right.
So because unfortunately,
I agree.
Unfortunately, because that's part of that same mindset is we try harder because we feel like we have to prove ourselves, because that stereotype is already coming along with us that we're not as good.
Right.
So I feel like no matter what we do, when we really want to do it well, now of course not everybody's going to want to do it well. You're going to have the scam artists, you're going to have the crooks, you're going to have the people that's going to do shady stuff, like in every industry, in every culture. But I think when we do want to do well, we are the best at everything across the board. And I'm not talking about running track. I'm not talking about sports. I'm talking about whether we're the accountant, whether we're the lawyer, whether we are the neurosurgeon, whatever we are, we're the best at it if given the opportunity. And I understand what
I would disagree with that.
Okay, I think so.
Yeah, I would. That's shutting out a whole bunch of other races that, like, I think the best person is the best person. So just because you black and you tried hard don't mean you gonna be good at something. So to say, like, just because this black surgeon has gotten an opportunity to be a black surgeon, he gonna be the best ever, like, that's not that's a false statement. Like, that's not totally true.
It's not. It's an opinion.
Okay, well, that's an opinion, but I'm just saying, what's the backing behind the opinion? You don't think a white person could outdo a black person? You don't think a Chinese person could outdo a black person? That's all I'm saying.
You said you didn't want to talk about white people.
No,
I'm just saying, when I'm saying black people can be great, why you want to talk about white people?
You're saying that black people can be great, and I'm agreeing with you. But how can you say anybody? How can you say any race of anybody, if they try something, they're just going to be great at it? Like, that's just saying, like,
I'm not saying
that's making a stereotype that they make on us.
I'm
like,
not
that's
saying
the same
everybody's
shit.
going to be great at it, but I'm
You
saying
just said
we
if
have
black people do something, that if we get the opportunity, we're going to be the best at it, and that's the pushback. How can you say somebody's? What if that black person sucks at the job?
Of course, I just said there are some people that are going to be scam artists, going to be lazy. They're not going to do it right, but we have the potential. Let me say that.
Like everybody else.
But I think we have the potential to be greater. That's just my opinion. I think we have the potential to excel. Of course, not everybody who wants to be an accountant is going to be the greatest accountant ever. But I think we have the potential, or let me say this, I think we have the potential to be at the very top along with everyone else. Yes, our opportunities may have come along later than everybody else is in the game, but we caught up. So that's how I feel. I think that we have the potential to be right at the top, right in line with everyone else. Yes, other people may have had a head start, but we've had enough time, and this is also why black people can't use this as an excuse anymore. We've had enough time to catch up.
I disagree with that wholeheartedly. You're talking about years of systematic racism. Like, we have not had time to catch up. There's some black folks that's out here doing their thing and have opportunity come their way, but there's also black people that haven't caught up, that haven't gotten out the neighborhoods, that haven't gotten off welfare, that haven't done all the things that other black folks have done. So it's still systematic racism. It's still shit happening against black people. So how it just doesn't make sense.
Everybody has.
You just sat here on
I
tape.
mean,
You just said everybody. You used the word everybody and said.
I'm saying we have had the chance to catch up. So
how can you catch up from 400 years? How can you catch up when the system is rigged already? How can you catch up when the system isn't broken down to be fixed again? It's the same system, the same racist system. So how can you catch up in the same racist system? That doesn't make sense.
Black people who are at the top in their respective fields that shows okay, yes, the system.
Not in all the spaces. There's sporadic black people in certain spaces, but we haven't dominated industries like white folks have.
No, I don't
It's
mean
not the same amount of black people up in the
Okay.
industry as white folks where they get it's black folks in every industry sprinkled around here and there. It's inclusiveness in every industry. But don't act like it's the same amount of black people in every industry as it is white people, because it's not.
That. I didn't say that. And
Okay.
I'm not saying we've had a chance to catch up, meaning we're even. No, but when we hear that, okay, now you have the first black this and you have the first black that, we are now, and not in every industry, there's a lot of spaces where we aren't yet, but we now have the opportunity to catch up, to fill in those gaps that we were never able to. So when I say
That
catch
statement
up,
I agree with, but because you worded it to say now we have the opportunity to catch up. You said everybody that has nothing to complain about no more, we all had time to catch up.
I don't think I said everybody,
You
but
did.
if so, then I didn't mean every single person, of course, but I mean those people who are in positions that we have not previously been in. It's not like we can say any longer that there's anything that black people can't do. Like
I don't think there's anything that black people can't do. I think black people are smart, educated, and if the opportunity comes their way, I think most black people will seize the opportunity. But I also cannot look at being 400 years behind, not being in every industry, and thinking that you can just catch up just because you're in a position. Like, we just saw a president become president, but couldn't do shit for black people because he wasn't in a position to. He needed white people to say yes. Yes, that's the truth. He needed white people in the Senate and stuff to say yes. And even furthermore, to make my point, black people that are smarter than us talk about this stuff and say that because there's a gap in us having a business acumen and being so far behind and being so late to be in these spaces, that there's a low IQ for business amongst black people.
Yeah, I think in general there is, but I don't think that means that there aren't some people who are at the top of the game. So I definitely agree overall. If we want to look at it as a collective, there is, because there's a lot of things that we weren't taught.
Let's have a caveat.
Let me finish.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that we weren't taught. Generationally, we weren't taught, where white people, that may be our age, their parents had a business acumen and passed it on to them because their parents had a business acumen and passed it on to them. Where now we are trying to learn the stuff that our parents didn't know. But it doesn't mean that that's all black people. So I agree that as a collective, yes, we are behind the 8 ball in the business arena. However, there are some people who are at the top of their game, because whether it's they learned earlier or whether maybe their parents were anomalies who did have that knowledge to pass to them.
I understand all that, but when I started the question, I tried not to use words like all and everybody. So I'm giving props to the black people who are in a position and doing their thing. Those are the people that I don't want to talk about. The people that I want to talk about is the people that are like the people on the ground, the people that hadn't had the opportunity yet, the people that do feel like they're behind in a business acumen, who don't have information or access to certain shit like the black people I don't want to talk about. So they're great, they're doing their thing. But why is it when you hear, like, just for an example, if I go to a place to get my hair done, and you hear people say like, okay, I want to keep shit black and I want to have my business be all black, but damn, when I do business with black people, they fuck up. And I'm not saying it's all of them, but when I order 12 or something, I get 6, or they haggle with me about the price, or they show up late. When they say it's 2 weeks, it's 4 weeks. And I know that happens around the board, but why is it this thing that people talk about where it's like, okay, like in our community, it's almost like if you go to another black person's shop, you might think, oh, that's a little high. But if you go in Macy's, you'll buy some shit. And that's all I'm saying is, where's the support? Where's the trust that, or the support to have this black person like that black person is going to rise because I'm supporting them, or I don't walk in their store and see something for $100 and be like, oh, that's way too high. But you don't say that shit going to Neiman in a Neiman Marcus or Macy's or something like that.
So you're confused. You're talking about different things. People having business acumen, people doing business poorly, and then people spending their dollars.
All of that. All of that. Is
So
what I'm talking
I mean,
about. So
I think that's different reasons. When you talk about people doing business poorly, you made a good point. You said that, oh, you know, when I do business with black people, it ain't all of them, but but that statement, it ain't all of them. That speaks for itself. Yeah, you will find some people that do business poorly. You will find some businesses that are black owned that just suck. You know, for whatever reason, maybe they lack the knowledge, maybe they lack the professionalism, whatever the reason
and that's
is.
What I think
move
I'm getting
to another
at
business.
is why. Okay.
That's what I'm saying, because you said it ain't all of them. Try somebody else. I think we have to stop just cutting each other out because of our experience with one person and just using. That doesn't mean, oh, I'm not doing business with black people.
I don't think
Use
we
a
should
different
cut each other out. I'm just thinking, what's the root of that? That's all I'm saying. I'm not
the root of them doing bad business.
Yeah, bad business or having a bad business acumen, and we're talking about the fact that we're behind the 8 ball, and we didn't have the financial literacy and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm kind of talking about. That could be part of it
because they could be a first generation business owner. They don't have a mentor to teach them and they're trying to wing it. So, I mean, it's a lot of factors that can play into that. Like you said, they don't have the business acumen. They know they want to be in business. They don't really know how to do things properly. Maybe they don't have, you know, somebody else that they know personally that they can ask for advice that can help them improve, where other people who may have, you know, had a head start or had a leg up, they have those tools to utilize. So maybe from their failures, the next generation, their children will do better. So again, I think, yes, people will mess up. People will conduct business poorly and you may have a bad experience.
But you say is mess up. What about fuck up? Because it's like the question was, why do some black people don't trust other black people, whether it be in investments or jobs or whatever the case may be.
So when you go back to the trust issue, I think that's the generational mentality that has been inbred in us. That's the trust issue. Right. Now, if you say, why don't black people
So for whatever reason, when you come to use a black company, have you ever used a black company that you was unhappy with or just didn't do shit right?
I can't think of one off the top of my head,
I didn't want this to turn into defense of black people, because I'm not trying to tear black people down. I'm just saying there is a gap where we don't have the business acumen, and because of that, we lack in certain areas where
I'm not disagreeing.
We do shit fucked up, but I'm just saying.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I said I agree. And the reason for that may be because maybe we didn't have the mentorship. Maybe we didn't have anyone help us along. So where do we get
that mentorship from? How do we close the gap? Do you ever think it's a situation where we'll catch up?
I think so.
How?
Like I just said. So, okay, if you have a business and you don't really, let's say you don't know anybody else who has ever had a business, who has been an entrepreneur.
Right.
You may read some books, watch some podcasts, look at, go to YouTube University, find all the information that you need, but you just may do some things that don't work out right because you don't really know anybody, because in our community, I'm not going to say we don't have that many entrepreneurs, but you didn't grow up knowing a lot of entrepreneurs. So who do you rely on? Now, hopefully from the mistakes that you made, you'll keep trying and not give up and you'll have some success. And then guess what? The next generation will be able to look to you and you'll be that mentor. Like the people on the podcast you mentioned, Earn Your Leisure, they're helping. I think their goal is to fill that gap, to provide the education that they have to black people because we've been a little behind the 8 ball. So I think that's what's going to help. In this day and age, there are more black entrepreneurs than there's ever been. Right. So I think as that number continues, some businesses will fail, a lot of them. Some businesses will succeed. As those businesses succeed, hopefully they'll reach back and help those coming behind. So I think that's how we'll fill the gap. I think that's how we will have to, we'll have to create that community of people of sharing knowledge like other communities have.
Do you believe in stereotypes?
Definitely.
You know they come from a place of truth, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't think that you thought that, because again, I didn't want to go into a whole defense of black people and what they doing and what was good, because I acknowledge that. I was just speaking about the black people who do the shady business, who try to cut the corners, who try to do all that shit, who don't have the business acumen because we're so far behind. Like, what about them businesses? Those businesses that you shop at or deal with, or a person that you shop with, a Macy's or something, your order all the time, and then you go to a black store and it takes 6, 8, 10 weeks, and you like, damn, what's up? Like, that kind of shit. That's what I'm saying, where it's like, okay, I'm not saying that person is doing bad business, but obviously it's not all together if it's not as sharp as what you was getting before.
But you have to look at so when you look at a Macy's and you look at the financial backing that a huge conglomerate that is not owned by black people, the generational financial literacy that whoever owns that has had, that's why they're able to operate in the way that they are. Sometimes we have to extend a little grace. Now, I don't mean grace in terms of people being rude or scamming you. Like, no matter how small or big your business is, your customer service skills should be on point. We can't
But we know that's not the case for everybody.
Right. We can't allow that to be an excuse like, oh, I want to support a black business, and even though these people don't have great customer service skills because they're black, I'm still going to support them. But sometimes we may have to have grace that, you know what, if I order something from Macy's, I may get it in 2 days. If this same black business, I may get it at 8 days. Well, guess what? They may not have the corporate UPS account that allows us to get those materials as fast. They may not have a shipping warehouse. They may be sitting at home with a printing machine printing the labels to ship it out themselves. So I think we have to be aware, if our intent is to support black businesses for the sense of seeing them succeed, then we know that there may be some challenges. So that, but I don't think that, yes, there will be some bad experiences. There are some people who don't do their due diligence, and especially again in this day and age, social media has made entrepreneurialism seem like, oh, like again, you can go to YouTube, or you can sign on to one of these classes that people offer, for $650 for 4 hours in Atlanta, and now you have your LLC and you know how to be a business. It takes so much more than that, and I don't know all that it takes, but you have so many people. I'll tell you this. I thought I was going to open an online boutique. Started looking for vendors, started looking for materials. It was so much that went into it. Not to say that I couldn't do it, but it was so much more than I initially imagined at the idea in my mind. Looking for inventory, determining sizes. Do I want to keep inventory on hand? How much inventory? How many of these do I want to order? What's my return on investment I want to have? It's so much that goes into that. Then I know somebody else who did the same exact thing. Not like they copied off me, but they had the same idea. They started this. And you know what I realized they did?
What?
Instead of having inventory on hand, when you would order something, they didn't have any inventory on hand. So you would place an order, and then they would place an order with the vendor. So your items would come directly from the vendor.
It's like drop shipping.
Yeah, but they never received the product, so they didn't know what the product looked like. They didn't know what the quality of the product was. The items that I received were horrible. And to me, the experience wasn't great, because I'm getting this item that has this address from China, and it took forever, where our minds were completely different. Because in my mind, when I was thinking about having a similar business, my thought was, I'm going to order this stuff and I'm going to have it, and I'm going to create some pretty labels that have my name, and I'm going to ship it out. So people just think differently, because neither of us, me or this person, we don't know anybody personally who has done this. So we were trying to learn it on, she actually went through with it to whatever extent she did, but we were trying to learn it ourselves. So that's why you will have negative experiences with people who are first generation. You know what I mean? So I think in some instances we do have to extend grace to ourselves.
So is that a thing, because we're behind the 8 ball, we're learning on the job and fucking up as we go? Because just like you can say that it's fucked up people in all races, and it is. We can all acknowledge that. You can get scammed in any race. Don't matter. African, white, it doesn't matter. You can get scammed in any race or run into a bad business person. But if you're behind the eight ball, if you don't have all the information, if you don't have all the access to all the doors you need to be in, and you try to open up your business anyway, and it's shitty, and it don't run right, like, what's the next step?
Hopefully you have some people in your circle that can either help you, introduce you to somebody that can help you.
But obviously you didn't, because you started it and you didn't have nobody to help you.
But
you don't come from that background of business acumen, so you haven't seen it. So who do you go to when you don't have no mentor, or you don't have that? Are you fucking up as you go? Are you learning on the job, being an entrepreneur?
Or hopefully you'll receive some constructive feedback and you'll take a step back and then take other actions to improve, to learn from your mistakes. You know what? I did, just using the example I used before, you know what? I didn't have any inventory. My customers were just getting bad products. Let me order just a few samples of things just so I can test the quality and know if this is something I want to offer. Or if the business went my way, you know what? I had all this inventory. All of it didn't sell. Or I had it priced too high. I had to mark it down. Let me take a step back and do some, studying about return on investment. What's a reasonable expectation? So hopefully that is the next steps that somebody would take if their business plan fails, and hopefully they'll use the resources that are available. I don't want to say go to school, because just because you have a degree doesn't mean that you're going to be successful, but find people that can potentially help you.
It's 3,000 stocks on the stock market.
Nah,
that you can buy from or invest in.
No, I didn't.
Only
I never.
12 are black owned.
Well, guess what? I didn't know anywhere, so that's surprising to hear.
But you couldn't name them.
Nah.
So that's another point that I'm trying to make. Like, we're not in those spaces like a lot of people think we are.
But we are. We're not the majority. But like you said, if it's 12, we are in the space.
You can't name one of them. You can't name one of them to invest in.
But it doesn't mean that we aren't there if there are some black-owned companies.
I understand.
But now that you say that, I'm going to look it up. But that's my point. Yes, we're not the majority, and we're far from it. We have some catching up to do. But the fact that there's one and there's 12 means that we are moving in. Because, okay, I don't know the history. I don't know who those companies are. How long have they been in that space?
I don't know. I just think 12 out of 3,000 is what I don't even know the percentage of that, but it's sure it's point something.
Yeah, because
it's not 1.
30 is 1%.
So it's 12.
15 would be would be 0.5%. So it's less than 0.5%.
Yeah, and you couldn't name one of them. So that's my point. It's not a Nike, a Apple, or anything like that. It's who knows? So how do you even find them?
I thought you was about to give us the scoop. I thought you had the information.
No, I don't have.
I'm curious.
Have your business? See if I can word this right. Have your black business experiences been the same, quote unquote, for the lack of a better term, been the same as your white experiences? Shopping Michael Kors, The Rack, Macy's compared to Pink Elephant, Milano, Mina, Monroe.
In some instances, I can say, you know what I think. What
How
came
about you
to
give
mind?
me a yes or no, and then elaborate.
I'm gonna say yes. And
they've been the same.
Okay, you said have they been the same? Okay, no. So okay, I'll say no.
Okay.
And
now elaborate.
Okay, and not to say that.
Everybody knows Milano is huge. It's a reputable fucking, and Mina Monroe is huge. Pink Elephant is huge. These companies are huge. So I'm not talking about small companies.
I mean, yeah, but I don't think they can be compared with those department stores that you said.
No, but
because
I'm just saying
Macy's, had a program that Milano, a small company, participated in.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about a Milano versus a Gucci, a Mina Monroe versus a Louis Vuitton, like brands, not stores, I think they're very small on that scale. But nevertheless, I will say one of the things that it makes me think about, I find that, and this may be an experience that Black people look at as being negative, I don't know, but I find that with Black companies, you have less sales, and probably because they have less opportunity to cut into their profits, because it being a smaller business, they have more overhead expense. They don't have the ability to have sales. Like again, it's difficult to compare them to like a Macy's and a Nordstrom's, because you're talking about department stores versus a brand. But when so if we're talking about comparing brands like a Milano versus an Adidas, I will say my experience with Adidas was horrible. Like, it was completely horrible when I ordered Ivy Park stuff, which is my good sis Beyonce's line with Adidas. My experience was horrible. But so I will say it hasn't been the same in terms of shipping. I've never ordered from any. I ordered from Pink Elephant. My experience with Pink Elephant was great. So they kind of forgot about my order.
This is what I'm getting. I'm gonna let you finish, but this is what I'm getting. My wife will take up for Black people, and I kind of should have expected this. And I'm not trying to down Black people, but I'm just saying clearly her experiences were different at these companies. Clearly, because look at her.
I've never had a negative.
I'm not saying they
Milano.
were negative. I'm trying to find out what the experience is, but I'm just saying, compared to walking into Michael Kors or Macy's or whatever, was it the same as going into Milano or ordering online from Amina Monroe or something like that? Did your stuff come in a timely fashion?
I've never ordered anything from Amina Monroe. Milano, I've never had any
Was
issues.
your customer service right? If something went wrong, did you have somebody to call? Did your shit come and you didn't have to send it back? Was it the same size? Was it the size you ordered? All those things, I'm just asking, was it the same? And if it's not negative, then great. I salute. I'm just asking, what was the experience?
My experience I've never ordered anything from Mina Monroe, so I can't speak to that. My experience with Milano, I've never had any negative experience. Shipping, I actually ordered, and it varies. I actually ordered something from her one day and received it the next day.
Wow.
And I was thinking like, wow, I must have placed my order at the time. They was like, the post, and they said, oh, let me just slap a label on this. Like, literally, I was shocked. Most cases that was the only time that happened, but in other cases, the shipping time frame is longer than like a Macy's, but I've received my products within their stated time frame. So I've never had a negative experience. With Pink Elephant, I sort of had a negative experience, but their customer service was awesome and rectified it. I ordered the first 2 times I ordered from them, I didn't have an issue. I ordered something from them another time, and it was a delay. Like, I didn't get any email. I reached out to them and they were like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. They gave me 50% off of my item, and I got it. And they was like, okay, if you still want it, we can offer it to you for this price instead of the full price. But if you don't want it, then we'll refund the full amount. I told them, yep, I still want it. So they refunded half of it. Great customer service. I wasn't asking for anything off. I just wanted the item that I ordered. So it was a negative experience, but they rectified it with great customer service. Who else did you mention?
Pink Elephant.
That was Pink Elephant.
Obviously the experience in Michael Kors and the stores like that were great, and Macy's and shit like that were great. Neiman Marcus were great.
Yeah, I mean.
So that's what I was saying. Like, what's the comparison? And you do a lot of online shopping, so that's what I was getting at. Did your shit come on time? Did your large come a large? Did your color come the same? Did you have to send something back? If you had to send something back when you called, was it somebody to talk to? You know what I'm saying? Did they get back at you? Did you have to email back and forth a couple times? Like, what was the experience, or was it a little glitch?
Yeah, I mean, that's the only time I can speak to where there was a glitch, but it was rectified. Other than that, I haven't had any, and I like to shop from Black-owned companies a lot. Glamaholics has a line of purses where I have not had any issues. My stuff comes timely. And I haven't had any issues.
Yeah,
Along with me ordering, from Kurt Geiger bags. So that experience, I can say, has been the same. And again, I will say, using that experience, a larger company like a Kurt Geiger, I've ordered something and got it the next day, where Glamaholics, it might have took a week, which is in their time frame, but it's a smaller business. But I did also Brandon Blackwood bags that I've ordered from him the next day, which is a black-owned company.
A black-owned company?
That beard stuff? Yeah, I think, but I'm not 100% positive.
I like that stuff, and I think that's a black-owned company. I support black-owned companies. I mean, I'm just talking about that thing that people talk about, where it's like, man, this is shady. This took long. This wasn't right. This ain't in order. Like, when people say that shit, especially when I'm talking about the girl who do my hair, like, that's a person in business, so you can't just ignore that. Like, she deals with a lot of people, so that's a valid conversation. I want to know why you think that way. Like, I know you deal with a lot of people, white people, black people, and you're trying to get the best product, but why do you think that way? Like, I'm gonna ask that question. Like, what's your reasoning behind that? And when I hear this ain't right, or that's a true thing, when you hear people talk about, oh, when black people come into a black-owned store, if you got a hoodie that's $150, they'd be like, damn, what the fuck? That shit high as hell. Try to haggle with you. But they'll walk in a Gucci store and you can't haggle. But so it's like, why do you do that?
Well, because I think, too, black people have this familial concept in their head, like, oh, we black, give me the hookup, or your products aren't as great as of quality of a different brand. But I think Milano broke the mold with that. Not saying she's the only one, but I remember a few years ago where this conversation was brought up because there was a sweatsuit that was $500.
Mm-hmm. On her
and
website?
People, yeah, it's one of her sweatsuits, and it was shorts. It was shorts and a sweatshirt or something, whatever. I forget the details, but it was $500, and people were like, "Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. I can't believe." And she stood on that. Like, I stand on my quality. I stand on the products of my quality. I stand on my price, and my price is my price, and it is what it is. And I think from that standpoint,
you know what you need to make money off of it.
But see, I think the mentality in that was, what black-owned product is worth $500? We are our worst critic, and that's sad to say.
Which goes back to the mistrust. Like, I don't fuck with that. But again, everybody want to keep it black and support black, but it's like, I don't fuck with that because that's high and that shit ain't worth it. When you don't tell Gucci that, you don't tell Milano. I mean, you don't tell another big white brand that shit ain't worth it, when probably it's not.
But okay, the mistrust, I think, goes back to the slave trade. I'm serious. I think it's a generational mentality.
But it's such a large gap to be like, I think this sweatsuit is shit because they put us in chains.
No, I don't mean. I mean the generational thought process, in that our products aren't as good as the white product made by. That's what I think it is. We look at ourselves as being inferior to a Gucci brand. We look at ourselves as being inferior to, Milano can make a button-down shirt and put an $80 price tag in it. And there was a whole big thing when a girl was like, oh my God, she's just buying this shirt from H&M and printing her brand on it. Would you not think that there's probably a factory somewhere that makes the same white shirt for 50 different companies, and they put whatever tag in it that the company paid?
Or whatever silkscreen.
And again, here goes another learning experience that Milano had, where maybe she just didn't think or didn't know, or she didn't have anybody to educate her to say, I don't care what factory you get these shirts from, take the tag out, put your own tag in it, whatever needed to be done. But she didn't let that break her. She didn't let it break down her business. It was an experience. Social media amplifies everything. It blew up, and she is still where she is today, and her business is even bigger than it was from that incident a few years ago. So again, I think because we are our own worst critic, because of the mentality that has been inbred in us for years. As much as we like to talk about Black power and Black girls rock and Black lives matter, we unfortunately still have an inferiority complex within ourselves, where we look at our own products like it's not as good as somebody else's. Instead,
this is what I was wanting to get at. Like, why? That's what I'm talking
and not
about.
only our products, the services offered by our people. We look at it as not as good instead of thinking, I wish I would contact a white marketing firm when I can contact Appetize. I wish I would contact a white person a white person to do my trademarking when I can contact Appetize. I wish. And you got some people who won't go to a black therapist because it's like, what does black person know about what they're going to be? Why would you want to? And I'm not saying that there aren't white people who are qualified to do the job. Not saying that at all. But me, I want somebody that can relate to my experience. And not saying all black people can, but even if I'm
a big portion of them can.
Even if I'm meeting you for the first time, I know we have that one thing in common, and that's our DNA, our
they
skin
treat us
color.
the same way.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they treat us the same way. I don't give a fuck what position you in. They treat us the same way at the end of the day.
It's our skin color that we have in common to start the conversation off when we first meet. With a white person, we're starting off, and I don't really know what we have in common until we actually introduce ourselves. So I feel more comfortable. Now, it doesn't mean that every experience with every black business will be positive, that it will be a successful relationship, that it will be beneficial. But it doesn't mean just discredit all black businesses.
No,
try somebody else again.
It doesn't mean that, but support black businesses, do all that. I'm for black businesses, but I just wanted to talk about that thing that people say about black businesses, like, why are they behind? Why are they this? And it's like, okay, why do you think that way? That's what I want to know.
You know what,
like, why is that a thing? I don't feel that way. I support black shit. We got a black juice bar that we go to. We love in our neighborhood, and that's a black business. We support them. So I'm all about black businesses, but I hear other people talk, and I wonder why they think that way.
I wonder though how
the stereotypes come from something true, a bad experience. And if you say go to the next one, what if you have 4 or 5 bad experiences? Does that stereotype make sense to you now? Or if you have an experience where something was late, or they got the wrong color twice, or they said 2 weeks and it took 10, do you chalk that up and say I'm gonna give grace, or I'm only cutting you off if you try to scam me?
No, I mean, like, there are some things.
Is there some other shit that be like, nah, I can't mess with you because I'm not getting what I signed up for?
Oh, most definitely, because you have a business to run too. So you think to yourself, if I need product in 2 weeks, now if you say, you know what, I'm sorry, I can get it to you in 3, maybe I can extend some grace, but I'm not going to put myself out there for you.
Like the swimsuits. We're not going to say no names, but I ordered you some swimsuits.
And they never came.
Never came. And after 3 months, it was like, okay, here's your money back.
Yeah.
But that customer service was horrible.
Yeah. But again, so I it's not like, oh, you made me lose my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
But
you got water over there?
Yeah. If you are I was gonna say that if it's oh no, I don't have any left. If you have to wait an extra week, that's one thing. If you're supposed to get something in 2 weeks and you get it in 5, you can't sacrifice your business for them. Okay, I understand you may be having some difficulties. I'm going to go elsewhere. If things improve, communicate. Don't just shut a business down. If things improve, maybe your logistics is a little off, your supply and demand, maybe that wasn't coordinated appropriately. Let me know, and then I may revisit because maybe I found a different supplier that has.
What if it's not about a vendor? What if it's just a personal thing? Like, what if it ain't about your business? What if it's just about, I like this black company I want to support, but I'm having bad experiences? Or say you have 4 bad experiences in a row.
With 4 different companies?
Yeah.
You may need to evaluate yourself. Maybe it's you, sis. I'm sorry. Like, maybe it's you.
Well, how is it you when you just hitting, I like that, I'm buying it. And it's like, okay, y'all said 2 to 4 weeks. It took 6. Or,
are you reading the fine print?
Or I ordered purple and y'all sent me black. And I had to send it back. And I had nobody to talk to. And then when y'all got it back, y'all sent me red. And then finally, the 3rd time, y'all sent me the black I wanted.
Maybe it's you. Maybe you not reading the fine print.
You're not picking the right color.
you're not picking the right
You
color.
don't know how to shop.
Maybe that's just not for you, and God is blocking it from you.
Where else, back to the financial literacy and why black people can be behind the eight ball sometimes. Not everybody. Where else in the community do you think they should teach financial literacy besides schools?
I think churches.
I agree with that. So you think they should do like an hour of service and then over on the other side do some
Not on
financial
Sunday.
literacy?
Like you in church for church on Sunday, but like maybe Saturday have a class. Maybe.
Fuck you mean you can't? Why church got to be 2-3 hours? It could just be like an hour of sermon and then on the side we talk about financial literacy to the whole congregation.
I mean, well, first of all, you got
everybody's attention. Everybody there on Sunday. Not everybody gonna show up on Wednesday.
Or people might have their kids. Maybe they don't want maybe, they want to be in there and be able to take notes without their kids distracting them. Like the church service just may not be set up.
But people have a schedule where it's like, okay, they doing financial literacy Wednesday at 7. I can't make that.
Okay, it doesn't have to be just
but
one
I go
class.
to church every Sunday, so I can make that.
I don't think it should be included in church service. I just don't.
Wow.
I think that just like you have Bible study on some days, you have missionary meeting on some days, you have the, deaconess.
Not everybody shows up to missionary, and not everybody
I think
shows
people
up
who
to
wants
Bible.
to show
Bible
up will
study,
show
no more
up.
than 10 people show up.
I think people who want to show up will show up. I think, and again, maybe your church don't mean maybe another church has it on Thursdays and that's more convenient for you. But I think the church is a staple, and not just the church. Let's say, mosque, where, I think any religious institution should also be invested in your personal growth and development as well. Why not want all members of your community to be healthy and wealthy and healthy? Financially, mentally, spiritually. So I think that those are places that should invest and have programs. It may not be the preacher that can help you. It may not be the imam that can help you.
No, I'm just saying, after the service is over, I think why they got everybody's attention, and you can probably fit that in. Do the service, don't cut it short, but also have somebody like, okay, I have a guest here, and while we got everybody's attention, because there might be some people out there that don't know or can't make fucking Wednesday night.
I hear what you're saying.
At some person's house.
I don't care what day y'all do it on. I think the church place is a good idea, not just during church service. Community centers. Not
a lot of them.
You don't have like the power centers and stuff like that.
I'm not sure. I don't want to say yes or no. I don't
know
if it's
libraries
still a
can
or
have
Teen
it.
Haven and shit like that. I don't know if it's still those things.
Yeah, the libraries can. So, I think any places in the community can offer. The universities should have places that people who aren't necessarily students maybe can sign up to come in for a course on a Saturday to gain some financial literacy. I think it should be pushed to the community.
So if it was people like us who grew up in our neighborhood, where would we go as kids to get financial literacy? And we said the church. They wasn't teaching it in the schools, or you can't depend on them to teach it in the schools. So that's out. You said the church, I agree. Where else, when you think about our neighborhood, could we go and get financial literacy? Like, because you're saying like a college and shit, and we didn't necessarily have access to go to community college, to hear a class or something like that where we grew up. So where could we have gotten some financial literacy?
The church or the power center? Those are the places. And again, the library on Lehigh Avenue. So, it's going to be access to people who live around Temple are closer to Temple. So, it's going to be different access depending on where you live. And, people who live in the boonies somewhere, they may not have access. They may have to have a meeting at the farmhouse. But I just think it should be a community-based lesson, to help people provide that information. Hell, have a block party. Not like a necessary block, but
that's what I actually thought you was gonna say, because I was getting at like, because people they don't get out the community. Like, we didn't grow up having access to go to a college or go to. I went to the library on Lehigh Avenue, but I can't say the people that I grew up with, they was in that place. So a lot of people don't visit them kind of places. And where could you just like start to learn early about money?
But you know what? People
instead of being in somebody's house where. You open up a can of worms to a whole bunch of other shit.
People do what they want. People go invest time into things that they really want to. So yeah, you're not going to be able to appease everybody. It's not going to be a convenient location for everybody. It's not going to be a convenient date and time for everybody. But people make a way for things that they want to.
Do you know when the best time is it to invest in the stock market?
When the best time is
This is some game I'm about to give everybody.
to invest in the stock
When
market.
the best time is to put your money in investments and invest in stocks.
When the stock market is doing really bad.
Yep. When it's a decrease 6 to 20%. And between 6 to 20%, you put some money in. And the theory behind that is the stock market has to level itself out. So, did you ever hear about this?
Not really.
The stock market is like it's built to go up and then come down. So it has to level itself out. So like a natural disaster, a hurricane or something like that is one of the things that will level the stock market. Like it'll go down, it'll go up. But if it's in between 6 and 20% is when you're supposed to put your money in.
6 to 20% decrease.
Decrease. If it's up like it is now, it's the worst time because it's got to go down. It's like in the market had crashed in 2008 and it was down and people put their money in and made all this money off of it. And then 12 years went by and the pandemic hit. And then it went down again, it crashed, and people made billions of dollars in the pandemic because it went down again. Yeah, but now that it's up and people are doing construction and spending money, and even after the PPP shit, they're still spending a whole bunch of money, and it's got to go down. It can't stay up like that. So it has to fluctuate itself and go down. They're thinking it's going to be another crash in like 2024 or 2025. What's your beef? My beef is Philly 911. These senseless murders again. I gotta look at my cue cards for this. People not caring. I saw a video of a man who was hit by a 18-wheeler on 2nd and Erie, right? And it's not so much to see the video of a guy twisted beyond like what you could even think of.
Didn't even look real.
Right, like almost like a wax body on the ground. But the person who was filming it caught my attention, and filming another person in the background filming it. And it's like, what has happened to people where you don't think that that's somebody's loved one laying down there? That's somebody's brother, son, father, uncle, brother, whatever it is laying out there. And to see something that macabre and traumatic, like what happened to us as people that the first thing you do is pull your phone out? Like, what are you going to do with this? Upload this for likes and clicks? You want to be the first one to put a dead body on Facebook or a dead body on your YouTube page? Like, what the fuck is that about? And when I saw that video, that was more visible, more obvious to me than the guy laying there dead. It was like, okay, he's dead, but why is it people like nobody running in to grab a sheet? I'm sure the cop called for a sheet, but probably didn't have one. But nobody is thinking that. The first thought is, let's film this. Like, let's film a twisted body. And it's just crazy to me that people want to film trauma. And there's also a shooting on Willard Street. And I couldn't find out where at on Willard Street, but on Willard Street, and a woman was shot in the face 5 times. And when you see this video, anytime anything happens to women, it breaks my fucking heart. But to shoot a woman in the face 5 times like that, like, people just don't care about life. And I grew up in Philly. That's my city. I'm from there, even though I don't live there. But it's as you get older, I don't know, like, how do you not care about life like that? How do you put your gun to somebody's face that close and shoot them that many times when you ain't really lived no life yourself? You not even 20 years old, and you doing these type of, it's just crazy out here how females getting shot. 2 females were shot in a speakeasy, 1 shot in the chest and 1 shot in the hip, both dead, like laying in the vestibule. Like, what's happening where females now are casualties in the streets? Like, I just don't get that. And people filming shit, putting stuff on Facebook, dead bodies. Like, It's just insane. It's insane. Your thoughts?
I told you a long time ago that I had to stop watching, so many killings that are happening. And I know sometimes they were caught on camera, quote unquote, like accidentally, like when Philando Castile, his girlfriend was recording. I don't think she thought that he would get killed, but she was recording. But have been so many incidents, and sometimes like the killing on Willard Street was a surveillance camera, but it's still the fact that it's being posted on a platform for people to see. These are things that our natural minds should not be seeing.
Right.
It's kind of like I tell you about like the safari in Africa.
Humans or just civilians? Because you think the cops shouldn't be seeing it either, because they're humans too. So
I think the cops. I mean, unfortunately, it's part of the cops' job. But I mean, you think about it, people shouldn't be getting killed like this to begin with. So humans, but cops also, which is why cops have so much PTSD. It's too much for your brain to consume. Like, we shouldn't just see dead bodies like that. Seeing people get, and not just the dead bodies.
I've never seen anything like those two videos.
Yeah, like seeing people actually get killed. This is why soldiers come back, and because that's just not something that your human mind, your compassionate heart, your brain is supposed to be absorbing.
To rationalize,
it's just not something. So on social media, I got to a point where I told him, like, don't show. Now today, for the sake of the show, I looked at it. I don't want to anymore. Like, I seen them both once. That's enough for me. But I got to a point where what happened was I was seeing it too often, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And that's where it was like,
looking. Watching?
Like 911 Philly, or like one of those other where it was like, okay, seeing these killings. And at one point, maybe in the summer, or maybe it was like, I mean, even still, I'm sure it's still going on, but I stopped watching, where it's murder after murder after murder after murder, and it's recorded. So if you wanted to, you could see a different person being killed every day. Yeah, I don't want my brain to absorb that.
I saw that video last week, and I thought to myself, damn, this is crazy with the blur. And I said, damn, this is crazy. This shit gotta stop. Well, then I saw it without the blur, and it just hit different. It was like, damn, like, that's a female?
Like, again.
Like, it just hit different to see, like, somebody up close being killed that way. It just hit different.
Not only that, for me, seeing
the blur
person, seeing the person being killed, seeing the person doing the killing, watching this individual do that so callously, and then just like walk away. It's like, all right, like, come on, hurry up. And
showed his face.
Like that. So those are the things that I had to remove from my mental. I couldn't. That's why I stopped watching that stuff.
And seeing a man hit by a car like that, and people filming shit. Like, what is that about? Again, like, why is that the first? Like you just said, your compassionate heart, why soldiers can't come back right, their compassionate brain. What the fuck about seeing a man twisted up like that where you say, I need video of this?
Yeah, now when you say like nobody thought to get a sheet or something like that, that thought never even popped in my head. But it also would have never popped in my head that I wanted to record it, because I would have never wanted to watch it again. I would have probably ran, because oh my God, it's like when people say a bad car accident, like literally that's what it is. But it's like one of them things you would think you watch from behind and kind of peek, because you can't look away, but you want to look away. But I damn sure don't want to have full view and be taping it. That's crazy. But I think, again, this generation, this society has been desensitized from death because we see it too often. We see it too often. The thought process of going viral pops in their head before, oh my God, this is a dead body. And people don't even like I would have vomited if I seen something like that in person. Like, that man's body was
second
mangled.
and airy, like laying in the street for who knows how long.
I never even knew that a body could be that way.
And that was like immediately, obviously, after it happened, where like probably the cops wasn't there yet. Like, cars are still going by, and it's like, what the fuck?
And again, that's something that your human mind should not ever have to comprehend. To see that, that image is gonna be burnt. We seen it. I'm never gonna forget what that looks like. Seeing it on the video. Imagine seeing it in person.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
Fucked up.
So my beef for this week, I had an experience, and it was two different experiences, two different conversations with people, and it didn't automatically resonate with me, but when I thought about it, it bothered me because too often in corporate America, Black women who are authority figures, who are assertive, are always looked at as being difficult. And I had two different conversations with people where somebody said, you know, blah blah blah, if you need this, you know, I'll talk to this person, I'm not scared of them. And then somebody else said, if you need something to get done, let me know, blah blah blah, I'm not scared to go to this person. And it's like, why would you be scared? Or why do you have to put that message out there as if other people are scared, or that, imply that these women are feared by some people, but you want to let it be known you're not afraid? And this comes from white people in both of these examples. But in both scenarios, the people that they were referring to are Black women in leadership positions who may be more stern than maybe what they're typically used to dealing with. And this may be a cultural thing, but it's like that connotation that's given to Black women in positions of power of them being mean, them being bitches. And I've had some bad experiences with Black women in leadership positions, but I don't think that it's fair that, and I don't know whether this comes from stereotypes, like you said before, I don't think that it's fair that that label is given to us just in scenarios where we have to assert our authority to let you know that we are to be reckoned with, that we're not going to be ran over, we're not going to be intimidated, but also our purpose is not to intimidate others either. And right. I don't like it, and that's my beef.
I agree with everything you said. I agree with your beef, and that should not be a stereotype on Black women. But the pushback would be, are you delivering your stand-up-ish, for lack of a better word, I can't think right now. But are you limiting your bravado? Are you delivering your bravado in a nice way where you're not being offensive? Because again, just the pushback of my experiences with Black women my whole life, yeah, you guys are eager and determined when you want something, but it's not always pretty. You don't always deliver it in a way. You deliver it, sometimes it can be delivered in an aggressive way to get what you want. And maybe that's just how you know how to do it. But do you think that could be an issue where a white person could be like, I never had to deal with that? Where it's like, so the first time you snarl at me, or the first time you speak up in a tone that is out of your regular tone, that can be perceived as difficult.
So, and this is my push. This
or
is my rebuttal to that. Or you sucking your teeth and clapping your hands and saying, this is how it's going to be. Like, that kind of shit can be perceived as difficult, is all I'm saying. No, and I get that. And
your delivery on point.
And these scenarios, no, it hasn't, there's no unprofessionalism, but we're just talking about women who are stern. One person who and we'll call her Louise, that I'm not a fan of at all. But in conversation, and that was the first conversation, I just kind of brushed it off when it was said, like, you're not scared of her. Like, okay, why would you be? And then when another conversation come up, I'm just like, why is this like that message that's given, like, I'm not scared of them? Two different people, two different areas, but both Black women in this message coming from white people. Now, I will say this is what also made me kind of think like, this is rubbing me the wrong way, because there are two other white women that I've worked with, that both, kind of have that same
stern.
Yes, and you know what they're describing? Oh, she means business. Oh, she doesn't take no stuff. So it's almost as like, oh, like, she's on point. She's on target. Like, we're still recognizing the fact that they may be a little more assertive than what you may be typically be used to dealing with, but it's not that same negative connotation. Oh, she means business. Oh, she don't take no stuff. Like, it's a good thing. But with the Black women, it's, oh, I'm not afraid of her. Okay, like, their purpose is not to intimidate anybody, it's to get the job done. And maybe they found their way, and Lord knows, I don't know what in me wants to give grace to one of these people, but maybe that's the way they found their way to, make their mark in corporate America, because they have to be assertive, because they get that from other white women in leadership,
Right.
but they're not given the same label. It's, oh, I'm not afraid of them, but these white women, they mean business. They don't take any
They're
stuff.
about their business. They get
I
their
don't like
stuff
it.
done. I agree with you. There shouldn't be no label like that. Like I said, the only thing I would say is I've dealt with black women my whole life, and you know, it's not always pretty with y'all. Y'all can be real aggressive.
Have you dealt with white women where it hasn't always been pretty?
Haven't dealt with that many white women as far as no, they kind of like shrink. Like when they're liaisons that I have to deal with work and shit like that, they're kind of the white girls that, you know, hold themselves and like, you know, are scary looking. Like they're not unless it was
The lion.
yeah, there was the lion, then it was totally different.
Yeah.
It was a different ballgame. But most of the girls that I deal with, and I don't know whether it's because of age, but they're kind of standoffish and like real timid.
Which
So
is which in a business environment you need to assert yourself. And I think being assertive and being aggressive, you have to know the line.
I think their whole thing is I don't want to be rude. That's like their whole thing. The people that I deal with, I don't want to be rude. So that's like the whole mantra of how they move and operate. And black women out there, do what you got to do to get where you got to get to. I support it. I'm just, for the sake of the conversation, I'm just saying, are you always delivering your message? Like if you having an issue at work and you stand up and be like, y'all gonna stop fucking playing with me. That's a little aggressive. That's a little out of pocket.
But I'm talking about people all on the same scale of professionalism.
Right. Okay.
You know, I would never act in that manner, and I'm talking about other women who would also never act in that manner. I'm not talking about no ratchet betties up in the company that, you know, is going to be doing some neck popping and stuff, or sending email messages without the correct punctuation. I'm talking about people who are
sending emails in red.
Exactly. People who are at the top of their game, but again, there's a negative connotation given to them. And for the white women who you say who shrink or they don't want to be rude, so they lack in assertiveness, that shows poor leadership skills on their part. You don't know how to do your job without feeling like you're being rude. What's wrong with you that you can't speak to someone and express yourself without being rude?
Everybody's sensitive. So it's like you don't want to offend anybody. You don't want to be offended. So that's what it's all about.
I challenge black people to do this because from our conversation earlier, of course, there will be negative experiences with black people, whether it's in business, whether it's in your own business, whether it's your neighbor, whether it's at the supermarket, whether it's at church. There will be negative experiences. Let's challenge ourselves as much as we talk about the negative experiences to also let people know when you had a great experience. Let people know, you know what, I dealt with this black-owned company. I got my stuff fast, or they had beautiful packaging, or when I had to call, their customer service was great. Let's do that and tell people about our great experiences. Not saying don't tell people when things don't go right. That's your own prerogative. But let's also tell people when things go right, when we have great experiences, so that we can start to break the stereotype of, one, being our own worst enemy, and two, pushing that message along that we do bad business. Yes, sometimes we do bad business. Sometimes
everybody does
we
bad
suck,
business.
but everybody
tonight
does.
We were specifically talking about our community that do bad business, the scammers, the people that want to cut corners and, you know, don't have all the proper paperwork and all, like just the people who lack in those areas is all I was getting at.
Yep.
Not to down any kind of black person. Like, do your thing, do what you got to do to get where you got to get. I support it, and as long as you ain't hurting nobody, do what you got to do. 3 grams. Young Dolph was killed 2 days ago. It's fucked up. R.I.P. to Young Dolph.
Not to be insensitive. Can you name one Young Dolph song?
No. Okay. I didn't listen to his music, but I knew of him.
I knew his name. I will say that. I did know
him on podcasts and shit like that. That's how I knew of him. I wasn't like a fan of him.
Okay, that's I just wanted to know because when I thought about it,
it's like one of them things like when Nipsey died. Like I couldn't name one Nipsey song, but it was like, damn, I knew who he was and I knew what he was about, and it was like, oh no, he all right.
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't know anything about Young Dolph. I did know his name. You know, and rest in peace, or, you know, condolences to his family. I don't know if he had any children.
He did. He had a daughter and a son.
Oh, that's horrible. So
yeah.
Wow. How old was he?
36.
Oh wow. Young
Went to a
dog.
cookie store that he always goes to in Memphis. Just last week, he put a video up of him at the same cookie store.
When you say cookies, like chocolate chip cookies or the cookies edibles?
Chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, okay.
He's coming out with a handful of chocolate chip cookies, and he's like, I come here every week to get cookies. Just so happened that would be, 2 days ago would be the last day he get cookies. So that's crazy. 2 men found guilty of assassinating Malcolm X. Their conviction is getting thrown out. They're getting let out of jail.
Oh wow! What are do you know their names?
Mm-mm.
Why isn't that something that was taught in history class? Because I don't know the names either. I couldn't tell you.
The men who shot Malcolm X?
Yeah.
No. It's a black dude, babe. What do you expect?
I mean, yeah, yeah. But when you said it, I'm thinking, I don't know who the hell killed Malcolm X.
Who killed Martin Luther King?
That man, that white man. I can't think of his name.
Who?
I don't know. Oh my God, we got some studying to do because I don't know that either.
But how are they going to let them out of jail when Larry Hoover is still in jail? And Larry Hoover has been in jail for 47 years. And he is in jail on a drug case with 6 other co-defendants. And they're all home. They're all free. And he not. But you're going to let out...
I don't put nothing past this government. So, I mean, I hear you, and it's sad. 47 years, especially somebody who, when you talk about criminal reform, somebody who wants to do good in the community. Yeah, I would think, and I'm not downplaying drugs, drug dealing, any of that kind of stuff, the impact that it has had on black communities across America and white communities. I'm not downplaying it at all. I think in 47 years, he's paid his debt to society. He's 71 years old.
71 years old, and was actually a First Step Act that Trump put in place for these guys like this to come home. The government told him, sent him paperwork saying that they don't want him to lead. Like, that's what you're great at, and we don't feel comfortable with you being out. Although you qualify for the First Step Act, we don't want you to lead. As much as a breakfast program, as much as a kid's football game, we don't want you to lead. No organization of any kind.
Yeah, it's sad to hear, but I don't put anything past the government, so I'm not surprised to hear it. But it is sad. It is sad to hear that they would allow somebody to stay in jail that long for their own political agenda. We've been watching this show.
You think at 71 years old you'd lead for bad? Like, you just did 47 years.
Yeah, we've been watching the show.
You never touched your grandkids.
We've been watching the show The Blacklist, so I don't put anything past the government.
No. No. You can't. That's another whole podcast. Tell me you saw Kyle Rittenhouse cry.
I've been scrolling and I seen stories about...
Tell me you seen the crying part.
I see, like, when he would try to force his son
all right, so
to cry.
then you seen it then. So that was him crying.
Yeah. Okay, so...
Now that we got that straight.
Wait, so I'm going to...
The next day they dropped his misdemeanor gun charge.
Wait, just give me a second. I have a little embarrassment.
White tears.
I have a little bit of embarrassment to tell you, okay? And I'm going to tell y'all, too.
We didn't know his name.
I don't know what he did. I've been just, I don't get caught, like, it's too much. It's information overload, so I don't know what he did.
So he killed the 2 guys with the AR-15. He was 17 years old, walking down the street, acting like he protected the community. He pulled a George Zimmerman and killed 2 black guys.
Oh, wow. When was this?
When they was doing all the protesting in the street last year. With the
like the riots after George Floyd. Mm-hmm. And so where?
I would have to look that up. I can't. Yeah.
I did see a story saying that his mom should be charged because he was underage and she drove him and dropped him off in the middle of the riot. But I didn't know what he did. I knew
17-year-old kid with an AR-15, and he was trying to put fires out with a fire extinguisher. And some guys, I don't know, he met an encounter and he shot 2 dudes, killed them. And that was his defense, is he was protecting the neighborhood. A Zimmerman.
It wasn't even his neighborhood, like, because his mom dropped him off there, right?
Yeah, with his gun and bullets and the intent to protect the street.
Wow. Yeah, I saw his white tears. That white fragility always rears his head.
How do you cry with a dry face?
Yeah. And like, are you two? You gotta squeeze your tears out.
He had no tears. There was a dry face.
I know, but
Nobody
he was
gave him
like,
tissue.
he was trying to squeeze them out.
But nobody gave him a tissue. Nobody recognized that nobody gave him a tissue because there were no tears.
You would think to yourself, this shows you how dumb he is. Like, think to yourself, let me think about something that I know will make me cry, like losing my freedom maybe. That way, they won't know why I'm really crying, but I'm going to think about something bad so I can have real tears. He didn't even think that far.
No, I want them to think that when I'm telling the story of me shooting the black guys, I'm going to try and cry then because that haunts me.
Yeah. But what I did
That's like we was watching something a while ago and it was a killer kid or something. And he said on the phone from prison to his mom, I'm just going to smile in court with my shirt and they're going to let me go.
Yeah.
And they heard that shit.
Yeah.
Like, so that's a thing where it's like, I'm going to try to play this fragility game in court because I'm young and white and I got a haircut and they're going to let me go.
And I heard, well, I've read, and this is part of the reason why I just don't be wanting things to make me angry. The judge allowed him to pick his own jury. Mm-hmm. Where they do that at? Like, since when that's a thing?
See where it's a thing in America when they want you to get off.
I thought
they let OJ pick his jury.
But yeah, I thought and
I don't think he picked all of them. I think he picked 2 of them.
But I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, I know lawyers pick jurors. I didn't know that. And not to say if you're sitting there, you can't like whisper to your lawyer.
I was going to say it's all in the wording. It's all in the language because you and your lawyers sit there and they ask these jurors questions and they scratch off who they think is not right. So of course they're going to say he did it, but I'm sure.
So why did they say that as if he specifically selected?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. The media the media always has a twist, and again, I'm not excusing my ignorance because I didn't know what he did, but sometimes I don't even indulge because it's too much.
But it's like national news. You would think like.
Well, I don't watch the news.
No, but you on the internet a lot, and you had to live under a rock not to know who Kyle Rittenhouse is.
I seen his name. I just never read the story. I seen his name. I seen a video of him crying. I seen his pale face.
You never wanted to know why he was on trial.
Nope. I seen his mom, who's 38 and looks like she's 50, but I just didn't read the story. Sorry. I didn't know what he did.
Act 2 the podcast, episode 45. Tell them where they can find us.
At www.act2thepodcast.com, and that's ACT2 THEPODCAST.com. Also on YouTube, Act 2 the Podcast, Spotify, Act 2 the Podcast, Anchor, Act 2 the Podcast, Breaker, Act 2 the Podcast, and Google Podcasts.
Where the clips at?
The clips are on Instagram. Follow, comment, share. And also you can subscribe on those other platforms as well.
Especially on YouTube.
Leave us some comments, participate in the questions. Let us know. Let us know your beefs. Let us know any wows and woes. Participate.
Back to the podcast, episode 45, wrapping up. If you fuck with us, you fuck with us. If you don't, you should. Peace.